Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about the IPv4 CIDR calculations. This will be very useful when you are creating a virtual network or an VPC in any cloud environment. So we are going to discuss about how the evolution of IPv4 happens and how we are going to calculate the IPv4 CIDR addresses for building the VPC or a subnet. So without further ado, let's begin. To start, first we need to understand IPv4. What is IPv4 and what are all the use cases? Simply, it is like an IP is an internet protocol address which is used to identify a device which is connected to a network. So to provide an example for this ideal scenario, let's take an internet. We are connecting our computers, our laptop to internet. So each and every device is assigned with an specific IP address. That is how the network identifies what that specific device is, where that specific device is. That's how the routing of traffic happens within the network. So in simplistic terms, IP address is similar to an ID which is assigned to a device which is connected to a network. So to have it, it is like we are having two main functions over there, which is mentioned as host and network interface identification and location addressing. This is all about simplistic terms. This is all about an match for a device in the network. So an example for IPv4 address looks something like this: 172.68.10.212. We are going to decipher this and we are going to understand how this thing came. So each and every IP address is having some four stuff which is separated by a dot. So it is an 32-bit number. Basically it's a 32-bit number and it is split into 4 bytes separated by a period basically. So this is how the IPv4 addresses are represented, and each number in the IPv4 is comprises of an octet. Octet is all about 8 digits. So a typical octet goes like this: it starts from 2 to the power of 0 to 2 to the power of 7. So it is having, we can have the similar binary representation over there for each and everything. So for 2 to the power of 0 it will be 1, 1 it will be 2, 2 to the power of 2 it will be 4. It's a simple binary stuff whatever we read in our basic mathematics classes. So now we are going to understand how we are going to represent this IP address. So to do so, we need to just simply do some sort of mathematics. So for 172, how we can arrive to 172? That will be the summation of 128 plus 32 plus 8 and 4. Right, that's how we can arrive to the number of 172. Similarly, if you can do how we can go for 168, it is going to be the summation of 128 plus 32 plus 8, and similarly for 10 it is going to be 8 plus 2, it is 10, and then it is going to be for 2 and 2 it is an 128 plus 64 plus 16 plus 4. This is how we can add up and we can come to arrive to this number. Now we can plot this in such a way like we can put the numbers in that specific octet plot. So I put the same octet over here. So for 172, what we can do, for whatever the things, it's like for 128 we put 1, for 32 we put 1, and for 8 we put 1, and for 4 we put 1. For the remaining stuff we can put 0. Why? Because it is not there as the part of the calculation. So the same thing applies for all the other things as well. It's like similar. I put the ones for whatever the digits over in here, and for this row as well, and for the final octet as well. So the representation of these 4 octets is going to be the IP address. So the decimal form of the typical IP address 172.168.10.212 can be represented in this way. So this is how the typical IP address came in. Since the computer is doing all the things in ones and zeros, we can represent that in this way actually. So typically this is the fundamentals. These stuff are the fundamentals of IP addresses and how we can frame the IP addresses and what are all the things behind IP addresses, right? So if we can go to the history, it is like we started it with something called as a classful network. Classful network is the similar way of networking architecture which connects various devices devices with each other back in 1981 until the introduction of CIDR, which is introduced in 1993. We are going to discuss about CIDR in the next slide. So this method divides the IP address space. It is the IPv4 into 5 address classes based on the leading 4 address digits basically. So we classify this as class A, class B, class C, class D and class E. So class A, B, C provide the unicast addresses for 3 different network sizes, and class D and class E provides, and class D provides the multicast, and class E is reserved for some sort of the experimental purposes. So if you can see the number of networks which you can frame based on class A, it is 128, and you can frame 16,000 networks using class B, and you can frame somewhat around 2 lakh around 2 lakh and 97,000, not 2 lakh, it is 20 lakhs and 97,000 here. So similarly you can see the starting address and ending address for typical classes. So class A starts with 0, class B starts with 128, and class C starts with 192, and class D starts with 224, and class E starts with 240. So this is how we can represent the typical classful IPv4 addresses, which is the fixed 4 digits as we discussed in the previous slide. So the next form, it is called as the CIDR. CIDR is all about classless inter-domain routing, which is simply the set of IP addresses. In order to make our work very simple, instead of specifying the IP addresses in a longer way, we can specify the set of IP addresses using something called as a prefix. So it is like it got introduced in 1993, as we already discussed. It provides lot of stuff. It is introduced to avoid the slowness and slugginess because of the previous version of classful addresses and rapid exhaustion of IPv4 addresses. So it is like it is described, it is comprising of 2 groups as we already discussed. One is the networks prefix and the significant bits which are going to be involved. We are going to discuss this stuff extensively over the next part of this video actually. So how this CIDR looks like, this is something like this. It's in the previous case where this /24 is not mentioned, where we discussed about only one address over there. So in CIDR we represent that by /24. So here if you put /24, we are going to discuss, we are going to have 256 addresses which belongs to a specific range basically. So how to calculate the range and all, we are going to see that. So in typical systems, if you can see, multiple depends upon the cloud providers, they will reserve some of the IP addresses, whereas in the case if you take AWS, they will reserve 5 reserved addresses. So whatever the set of IP which we are taking, out of which we need to subtract 5, so that we will be getting the remaining addresses for our users. So to understand this in a better way, I put a smaller table for your better understanding. So /16 will provide 65,536 addresses. So similar way, if you go down and down, /32 will provide only one address for us. So that's how it works. So to make it a very clear understanding, I am having something which is called as the CIDR.xyz. I am going to provide the link for this website in the description of the video, so that you can also practice this in a very extensive way. So let's see something. So if I put something like this 10.0.0.0/16, if I put that, it will give me the set of IP addresses and total count of IP addresses. So here in this case it is going to be 10.0.0.1 and then 10.255.254. So for a smaller understanding, I am giving you some tips here. So if I am going with /16, 16 means it's each and everything is an octet here, right? So this is 8, this is 16, this is 24. Sorry, it is like we need to come in this way actually. This is 8, this is 16, this is 24, this is 256. So if we are giving 16 means we are not going to touch these first two, we are going to deal with only the last 2. If I put something like /8, then we are going to deal with all these 3. If you can see 10.0.1 and then 10.255.255.254, the number of addresses will be very, very massive. It is somewhat close to around 16 lakh or 1 crore and 67 lakh 77,000 addresses. So if I put same 16 over here, the first 2 stuff are completely same as is. It's 10.0. You can see 255.254 is the end address. So that's how it is. So if I put 24 here, you can see only the thing happens on the last digit 10.0.0.1, and then you will be having 10.0.0.254. Only the change which happens, the series of addresses will be assigned on the last digit. So that's how it is. You can simply remember this using this simple tip. So 16 will be last two, 24 will be last single digit. So if I put 25 over here, then you can see the same manipulation happens within the last digit itself. So 24 will give me 256, and then if I put 25, it will give me 256 divided by 2, it is going to be 128 address. So it is 10.0.01 and then it is 10.0.126. That's how it is. So 256, what I can do for 25, I can give even 125 over here. Then it will be used something like that. It's like, can I do something? It is say, let me do an 28 over here for this. Then you can see it is 10.0.1 and then 214. That is how it is getting used based on the digits whatever we specify. So the 28 is part of the last thing, 24 to 32 is part of this last octet. So the change happens over there in that way. So this is how we can simply calculate the different set of IP addresses. Now coming to here, I am just giving you some of the examples for your practice purposes. So I am taking this address 10.0.0/24. I know for 24 it is going to be 256 addresses, right? For 24 it is going to be 256 addresses. So what is my starting address and what is my ending address? So as we already discussed, 24 is going to be the last digit, last octet. So obviously it is going to be 10.0.0.1 and then the ending address will be 10.0.0.254, actually 254. So that will give me 256 usable, actually 256 addresses. You need to subtract 5 out of this 256. So we will be getting 251 addresses in the case of AWS. So for your practice purposes, I am adding some other things over here. I am giving you some sort of time gap so that you can calculate it and then you keep it ready. Let's check that whether it is correct or not. So here in this case we are going to deal about 192.10.0.0/16. So /16 is going to be 65,536 addresses for me. So the starting address and ending address is going to be 10.0.1 and then 255.254, since we are dealing with last two octets as it is 16 over here. One more example, I am giving it for a practice purpose. So 172.16.0.0/25, this is what I am providing. It is going to be 25. 25 means it will give me 256 addresses. So just do the simple calculation. I am waiting for some time. So it is going to be something like this. In the last digit it is going to be 1 and 126, since as it is going to be 128 addresses. This is how it is getting calculated. So do lot of practices as much as you can so that you can feel comfortable on this area. So you can comfortably design the CIDR addresses for some sort of your cloud requirement for building something. So what is the use case it is going to solve? I am taking a typical AWS use case where we are going to build the VPC and the subnets within the VPC. So to take it in this diagram, as mentioned in the diagram, it is 10.0.0.0/16. We already saw this example. This will give me 65,536 addresses. It will start from 10.0.0.1 and then it will end with 10.0.255.254. Now here it is like I need to design the public subnet and a private subnet within the VPC. So these subnet IP addresses must have to be in the range where the VPC CIDR is defined. So how I can define that? I can define a public subnet with /24, 10.0.0 with /24, so that it will give me 256 usable IP addresses. It will start with 10.0.0.1 and then it will end with 10.0.0.254. So I can define another subnet within the same VPC, since I am having lot of usable address over there. So what I can do, I can define a subnet like that, 10.0.1.0/24. So the starting address will be 10.0.1.1 and then 10.0.1.254. Say tomorrow I want to add another VPC. Simply I can create another subnet as 10.0.2.0/24. That will give me a starting address of 10.0.2.1 to 10.0.2.254. Since that is also part of the same masking, it is like same group, I can keep on creating the subnets like that. I am having total of 65,536 addresses, out of which only for these two VPCs I used only 256 addresses. addresses. Typically, whatever the resources which are going to be deployed within this subnet is going to make use of this set of addresses. So whatever the IP addresses which is assigned, say I am going to deploy the web service inside this public subnet, so the IP addresses which is specified for this web service is going to be in this range. Similarly, if I am going to deploy the database service in the private subnet, IP address for the database service is going to reside within this range. So this is how you can design your VPCs and subnets within the VPCs. I hope this video has provided you some information on how you can calculate the IPv4 CIDRs, and also some tips in getting those values and designing the VPCs and subnets within the VPC on a typical AWS environment. I hope this video has been informative for you. If you like the video, please do share, subscribe and comment. If you don't like the video, please share in the comments so that I can improvise the contents of my video. I hope this is very interesting for you. Thank you very much for watching this video.